Today we are talking about the full moon in Capricorn on June 24th. This is going to signify where you could be recognized for your accomplishments. We'll have predictions for all signs coming up. I'm Donna, your practical astrologer, here to talk to you today about the full moon in Capricorn on June 24th. This is highlighting an area in your chart, and we're going to go through sign by sign. I want to welcome everybody, especially the new people here. Welcome to the family. So happy that you're joining us today. If you don't know me, I'm a professional astrologer. I've written a bunch of books. I write weekly and monthly columns, and there are going to be some links to my columns in the description box. When I was looking through the comments, you guys had some questions, and so I just want to clear up a few things. And one is that I'm doing tropical astrology. There is also Vedic astrology and Chinese astrology, and those are extremely valid systems also. Tropical astrology and Chinese astrology are my specialties, and so that's what I do. I also wanted to say how to use this information. Astrology is like a GPS, so it tells you what's ahead, but it doesn't mean that you are, fated to go through that. You have the chance, once you have this information, to make course adjustments. So just like a GPS that might tell you that there's traffic ahead, you then could decide to stay on that road or get off the freeway and take another route. So your chart more says that this is your potential. It's like destiny, but where destiny is the potential and not an absolute. So if you hear that I'm saying, okay, you are showing really positive signs for your finances this month, then you want to lean into that. This is the time where you might post your resume or ask your boss for a raise or something like that. So, but if you hear me saying, okay, the energy's not lining up and you show that you're making about the same as usual, then take your energy and put it into something else. Focus on your relationships, build a house, write songs, or do something else. This is not to say that, no, you couldn't make more money, but it would just take a lot of effort. Just like you could stay on the freeway and hope that the traffic jam clears up, or you can stay on the freeway and, listen to a book on tape. Book on tape. Like they still have those. You could listen to an audiobook and you'd be using the time that way. So if it says that the energy is blocked or that the energy is not lining up, and when I say it, I mean the chart, if it's saying that, then focus your energy on something else. And this is putting you in harmony with the flow of energies of the universe. So that is that you're either saying, I'm going to get off this freeway because there's traffic ahead, or I'm aware of the traffic, and so I am going to ride it out and do something else while I'm doing that. I also want to say that when we talk about you guys creating prosperity in your lives, so realize that your sense of deserving is tied directly into this. And that is that when we feel uncomfortable or overwhelmed or things like that, we can put the brakes on anything, even things that are positive. So, when we look at people who make a great deal of money, we may say, oh yes, I want to do that. But when we're honest with ourselves, we might think, well, that's going to put me into a situation where I'm quite uncomfortable. So sometimes we have to just move up incrementally. So, and to illustrate that, that would be like, at the height of Steve Jobs' career, he was making about $78,000 a minute. And for most of us, we would say, oh, that would be so delightful. But then also we may have an underlying current that says, wow, that is so far outside my comfort zone. And does that make me vulnerable? What would be demanded of me to do that? What do I have to give up in my current life to do that? And so forth. And therefore we put the blocks on it. So, but now we have to look at, bringing this down to say, well, If you doubled your income in 1 month, now are those same blocks there? And if they are, how can you work on those? How can you increase your sense of deserving? Because we do all deserve abundance from the universe, but we may not all believe that. And so we do have to shift that inside. Now, all of that I've just said also applies for relationships. I mean, the reason that you may be not finding the person that you want in your life is that you've had hurts in the past, and so therefore it's challenging to move forward, and that's totally understandable. And all of this boils down to whether you trust yourself that you can handle whatever comes, and do you believe in your hearts that you deserve the abundance, whether that be money or love or happiness or any of those things. And this is what all of us souls here on this planet are working on. I'm working on it too, because, anybody who's alive is working on it. Even the billionaires, trillionaires out there, they are working on some aspect of their soul's development. And so all of this, we're all in this together. We're all at, different places on the path. And so sometimes we feel, like, oh, somebody's so far ahead, and, that might feel bad. But if you focus on your own path and your own journey, then you can, it saves that energy, and then you can concentrate on, healing yourself, making sure that you remove these blocks, and welcoming in the abundance. Okay, let's take a look at the chart for this full moon on June 24th, and what we see is a lot less of the drama that's been going on for the last, 4 weeks, because now we're out of that energy of the eclipses, and we are past Mercury retrograde, so now Mercury's direct, and so now we have a little bit of calm after the excitement. Now, that doesn't mean that your life might just completely be peaceful. You still could be cleaning up from the storm that was the eclipses, but we do see calmer waters going forward. So this is the Capricorn full moon, and Capricorn's energy is about taking responsibility, understanding reputation, understanding how you can build something in the world. Capricorn energy is related to Saturn, and oftentimes Saturn's seen as the bad guy because Saturn can bring such really direct lessons into our life. But Saturn also, while it makes us feel inadequate in a place, it also gives us the push to gain expertise. So wherever you have felt like you couldn't handle something, that's the thing you can overcome. And you can become not just proficient, but an expert at it. And so the Capricorn full moon reminds us of this. And so over the course of the next 2 weeks, you may receive some recognition based on where it's falling in your chart. And this is some outside source saying, look, you're good at this, or you have great potential at this, and therefore then we can act on it. Now, the other aspect of note this time is the Venus opposing Pluto. And this energy for this chart is just past. So this may be something that you have already experienced, and it's less likely to happen going forward. But this is an intense outburst of emotion, or a feeling of possessiveness, like something that you feel is important in your life is being taken from you, and so you're trying to grab hold of it. And as I said, since this energy is dissipating, perhaps you've recognized that maybe holding on to this thing or this person isn't actually so beneficial for you. Additionally, this can be the energy of feeling that somebody else has the power over you, whereas you can take that power back if you will be willing to look at other options. So someone can clearly have power over you if you want exactly what it is that they're offering, and then they can say, well, no, you can't have it. But if you say, well, wait a minute, there are other options that I could do, there's other roads I could take, then they they lose the power and the power comes back to you. And so there is, again, this energy is dissipating. So you may have already experienced this by the time you listen to this video, or you're experiencing it at the moment if you listen to this video ahead of time. But it's good to look at the things that have just happened because they're fresh in your mind, and then you can learn from it, because we will get hits from Venus to Pluto again throughout the year by square, conjunction, and then again in an opposition in approximately a year. And so then you'll be ready for it. What? Yeah, you're a good cat. Okay, Aries native, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of career and reputation. And so this indicates that you have actual abilities with determination, willpower, and this idea that even if things don't happen overnight, that you have the stamina and the perseverance to keep going. And that, of course, is what brings the most success, is that ability to day by day pile one success on top of another. So it's, yes, overnight success is really lovely and all that, but you scratch any overnight success and you find that they have been working for ages and ages. And this is your ability where you can incrementally get better and better. So that's what's highlighted for you this time. This is also where you're doing that Venus opposed Pluto. And so this is a reminder that sometimes you may give your power away thinking that the other person, and in this case someone involved in your career, could make or break your career at any time, and this is not true. There is enough different roads that you can take, and so this is just that reminder to take your power back, to recognize that you have other options, and this is how you can move forward. Now, when we look at your relationships, Venus is not making an aspect to Mars or vice versa. But the interesting part of it is that Venus is going to catch up with that Mars, which indicates that if you are thinking about dating somebody, asking someone out, you may just want to wait because it looks like you're getting pursued, that you're the one that somebody is reaching out to and taking action about. So right now it's not making an aspect, but over the next 2 weeks it may unfold that this person starts to pursue you, so you might as well just wait and see what happens. When it comes to your home life, you have a really good couple of planets there, Sun and Venus, and it's pulling energy from the moon. And so there may be something going on about you working at home. Perhaps that is coming to an end, or perhaps you have negotiated they continue to work at home. This is also saying that you may be unpacking from a recent move or just getting things renovated and looking pretty and all of that. So you have some nice harmony and good energy at home. When it comes to your money, you have, of course, that Uranus still going through your house of money. It's going to continue to do that. And so as you look at the different ways of handling money, the different forms of money, this week, maybe look at, do you spend more when it is on a credit card versus cash, as many people do? Is there a better way for you to spend money? Do you do better staying out of the store and just buying online, or vice versa? Are you better going into the store? So looking at what kind of changes you can do and how you spend money can help you accumulate money in the future. Now, your second house is pulling money from that Venus that is going through your fourth house, and this indicates that maybe there is some opportunity by pooling resources together with a family member and starting a business, or getting a loan from a family member, or having, family members live with you and maybe some of them are paying rent and things like that. So you have all of that energy if you're thinking about doing real estate or some aspect of home construction or something like that. You are pulling a lot of positive energy for that. When it comes to income from your business or from a passive income source, you have a very strong aspect of Venus opposed Pluto. And so you are able to empower yourself at this time to take more action, especially more effective action in, launching a part of your business or finding good investments or things like that. So you are really empowered at this time. And so it's really good to consider, how you want to make money through passive income sources. There are so many different ways these days, through affiliate marketing and network marketing and royalties and residuals and all of these different things. So there's so many different options for you. And now there's that force behind you to help you actually gather some profits. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, we have this interesting dynamic going on because you do not have an aspect between Venus and Uranus, nor do you have an aspect between Venus and Saturn. And so that to me says that you're making about the same, plus Saturn is still traveling through that house. Now, the interesting part of this is because you're doing such a strong 10th house, it is possible for you to get a new job opportunity that comes along, or to use a job opportunity you have to start to let your current job know how valuable you are. And so it looks like you're planting the seeds for something in the future. And so even though you look like you're making about the same as usual this period, over the next few weeks, something new can happen. Now, when it comes to riskier investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to do, you now have Mars going through that house, and Mars is a planet of action. And so you are actually maybe following, your creative drive, maybe getting your novel worked out or working on your album or something like that. I've seen a lot of videos where people have this little Cricut cutter and they can make all these amazing things and sell those. So, you might be actually working on these things a lot. Now, there's no aspect going on between Venus and the Sun. However, they are in the same sign. And so that's also good news. The Sun does move very faster. And so it will catch up with that Venus at some point. So again, it's almost like if you start it starts to gain some momentum and things come together. Although I think they'll come together outside of this 2-week period, they are still, positive energy is forming. Okay, Taurus natives, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of legal matters, education, travel, foreign places, and your belief systems. And so all of this adds up to the idea of, this is where you have some talent. So you may have been faced with many contracts in the past, and, and it's always wise to have a professional look at a contract, but you also may have talents in that area where you want to go through it also so that, it's two pairs of eyes looking at it and you can find things. Or perhaps this is about your ability to learn and absorb information, and you may have an untapped ability in this area where you do find that maybe conventional school isn't for you, but that you can absorb the information that you need very quickly. Or perhaps you do great on standardized tests, and so you can go through a conventional system to help you gain. So this is, these readings are just for a 2-week period. So this isn't something maybe, that's, it's clearly not something that is for a longer period of time, but it is just a reminder that you have an ability in that area. And when you have an ability, you can capitalize on that energy. Now, where you're doing the Venus-Pluto, which is where you might be feeling overwhelmed and where you need to take back your power, is in that area of belief systems and actually everything that I just said about the 9th house. And so, you might recognize that you have the ability to move forward in school, but the whole college system is overwhelming. Or perhaps you are in a legal matter and you've just allowed somebody else to take the reins, but it's time for you to get involved. So that's how you can take your power back. When it comes to relationships, you have this very powerful aspect of Venus opposed Pluto, and so there is some real strong relationship opportunities. Now, because this aspect is separating, perhaps you know about this person already, and maybe you had a first date, and so you're starting to think about what you want to do going forward, or perhaps you just have your profile up and now a few people have emailed you. So this is something that may have started already, and now you can move it forward. When it comes to home and family, Mars is now going through this house, and so you might be packing to move or doing some decluttering. You may be doing some home renovations, but we see a lot of activity in the home. And of course, because things are opening up, maybe you're having people over, maybe you have some long overdue parties happening, so that's all good. When it comes to your money, you have Mercury in that house, and Mercury is now moving forward, albeit very slowly, so it's going to start picking up speed. And this means that you have some financial opportunities that maybe you missed in the past, just over the last few weeks, and now you can grab hold of, or somebody, like an email that you overlooked or something like that. Somebody emails you again and says, here's this opportunity. Now, you are pulling money, of course, from that same Mercury, and so communication is very important at this time. So if somebody owes you money, you might want to reach out to them now that Mercury has gone direct. Or you also want to talk to yourself about what your money blocks are, what's holding you back, really talk through it or journal it, use some sort of communication, maybe see somebody about it, because you could clear a major block at this time. Now, when it comes to money from business or money from more traditional types of investments, Mercury's not making an aspect with Jupiter at this time. So right now, it's more about doing the research or maybe just holding on to your investments and, riding out any volatility in the market, or, if the market's like taking a little breather now that Mercury is direct, then just holding on and waiting to see when new opportunities line up. But what's most likely is there won't be anything really that's clear, like giving clear signals to buy. And so that could be what's holding you back. Same thing when it comes to your business. Your business is just humming along. You're making about the same as usual. And so it's not time right now for a big move or change in the business. When it comes to money derived from career, now the picture is much better. What we see is Jupiter is in that house. Additionally, Jupiter, of course, rules that house of the passive income sources. So you may be getting some perks from your job, like getting to buy company stock or getting a 401k match or something like that. Additionally, Mercury is making a very wide square to the ruler of the 11th house. And so while normally you hear me say that a wide square is more of a desire to do something than actually getting it to happen, this is going to continue to get tighter because now Mercury is going forward. And so over the next 2 weeks, you are going to have some real opportunities to gain more through employment. And that is, making more sales and getting more commission, or asking your boss for a raise, or entertaining the idea of working for another company and negotiating a better salary. When it comes to riskier investments, and these are the ones that are really big, like buying a franchise or, starting something that's going to take you a long time to finish, like your screenplay or something like that. This energy is ruled by that Mercury, which is in a money house, and now moving forward, that would be Mercury. And so things that were delayed over the last few weeks are now clearing up. And so it was really good that you waited. Now you're getting the information that you need to move forward. And all of this indicates that somebody or something is going to land on your desk. Not a person necessarily on your desk, but something's going to land on your desk that gives you the sign that it is okay to take at least the first steps and go forward. So that's what I'm liking here. I like this energy for you. I think that you're going to make more than usual over the next 2 weeks. Okay, Gemini natives, you guys are doing this full moon, lighting up your house of resources, power, and magic. And so this is where your hidden talents are that you could be working on to uncover. When it comes to resources, of course, that there are more opportunities maybe than you're seeing right now. And that could be for funding for your business or for your education, or you want to buy a building downtown, and so maybe the city will pay for it and let you renovate it, or things like that. This is also about finding out the truth and gathering information, real information, not just rumor or things like that. So, and that is something that, Gemini in general wants to do and is good at, and this is reminding you that you have that ability. Now, when we look at Venus and Pluto, what we see is Pluto up in that house of resources. And what that is saying is that you need to be aware that you do have the ability to access the resources that you need. And if you are saying to yourself, well, I can't do this because I don't have enough money, or I can't do this because these people won't help me, you need to adjust and find new places to go and look for these resources, because this chart is saying that is available to you. Now, when it comes to relationships, even though Mercury is not making an aspect to Jupiter, Mercury is moving forward, and it is in your own sign, and it's in your house of confidence. So I like all that I'm seeing here. So the timing still may be off because these two aren't talking to each other. So it's like you're sending a message and saying, hey, let's get together tonight, and they don't get the message till the next day or something like that. But you can make some progress. So this is a time where you're supposed to be doing the reaching out because it's your Mercury, and if you can just reach out and then just let it go, and they will answer when they get the message. Just don't put too much of your hopes and wishes on them answering at a certain time or in a certain way. If you're just open to receiving, you're going to be very happy with the results. Now, of course, Mercury also rules your area of home and family, and as we said, Mercury is in your own sign. It's moving forward, and so everything's in a good place to have better relationships with your family. This also means that if you've been looking for a new place to live, that you could find it. If you are looking for movers during this very busy time, you find the right people, that's the right price, etc. So a lot of things when it comes to home and family are coming together. Now, when it comes to your money, you have a great second house with the Sun and Venus there. Venus sometimes can cause you to spend the money that you're making, but the Sun is bringing in money, so it's kind of like it's coming in, it's going out, and at least you're spending on things that you enjoy. Venus will be leaving this house pretty soon, so if you're kind of in a little spending spree, that is going to end soon, or you might want to cut it off and say, okay, I'm done spending for now, just because you have that awareness. You are pulling money from that moon that is in the 8th house of resources, which means that you have opportunities to get bill consolidation loans, grants, scholarships, things like that. So it's a good time to try for prizes or any sort of gifts of money, those sort of things, because the aspect is lined up. Now, when it comes to business income or income from investments, because the moon is there, it can feel a little unsettled. And so you might be concerned about some aspect of your business. The moon's not making an aspect to Saturn. And so you're making about the same, perhaps even a little bit less because of the stress that you're feeling. And so what it's really important to do is to look at how you can diversify, or if you need to make a change right now at all, maybe you need to take a longer perspective on things, work on your back office, work on your website, updates, things, that sort of thing, because the focus right now is less on sales and less on maybe cashing in investments and more on thinking about things from the long-term perspective. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, you are doing the inconjunct from the moon to Mars, and that actually is beneficial despite the fact that it's in inconjunct. So what this is saying is that you may be asking for a raise or asking for more sales or better hours or things like that, and your boss is pushing back a little, saying, I will do it if you make this change. And so as the two of you adjust, you become in harmony. And this means that you give a little, they give a little, and something occurs. This is the same as we see for your very strong career house, that you could get a new job at this time, and then there's some back and forth negotiations. You might be asking for a larger sum of money and they come down a little bit, so some sort of compromise is being made. When it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, and money to get going, the moon is making an inconjunct with Venus. And so there is an aspect, and I always look for an aspect, even a difficult one. And so this indicates that while the path to where you want to go is not a straight shot, you can get to the point you want to be at by making some adjustments over the next few weeks. And this is that maybe you find out that it's not going to be quite as easy as you thought, or that you need some sort of permit, or that you do need some sort of resource from someone because, you know, the moon is in the house of resources, or that you even need to spend a little bit more money because Venus is in the second house. Although if you wait, maybe you won't have to spend that money. Maybe there's a different way to do it. But everything here is about making an adjustment. And so looking at the course and what you planned out, look at where you're flexible and make that alteration so that things can move forward. Okay, Cancer natives, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of relationships, partnerships, and collaborations. And so the universe is suggesting that you have talents and abilities when it comes to these things. And so before you push back on that, recognize that it's a very big world. And so if the person in front of you is not complying with what it is that you want to collaborate on, perhaps you just need to branch out and talk to other people. Now, it also says that you are a very loyal person. Of course you are, Cancer. And so you can get kind of caught up in, you know, the things that people do, you know, either on purpose or inadvertently, and then feelings get hurt, etc. So this may also be this reminder that sometimes you have to move on, or at least step back from a partnership and allow feelings to, you know, get healed, and then you can move forward. So this is all about looking at your strengths, though, with this full moon. And so I'm suggesting that there are so many people out there who want to work with you or who would want a friendship with you. And so it's time to branch out. Now, when it comes to the Venus-Pluto opposition, what's happening is that the Pluto is where you think that the power is within their hands, so that they get to decide if they want a relationship with you, etc. But here's where you take your power back, and you can say to them, you take your time in deciding whether you want a relationship with me. I'm going to go hang out with these other people. And then when this first person comes around, you can decide if you still want to have that connection with them. And, you know, yes, again, what I'm suggesting you might find challenging because, Cancer being a water sign does like to make really deep connections. And so, it's very much like I'm sounding like I'm saying, oh, you just dropped this person and all that. But I'm more saying that because you do make a deep connection, because there is that connectivity to water itself, that you can step away and pull it quite far before it disappears. So if you step away and go cultivate new connections, you gain your power back. When it comes to relationships, even though the moon is not making an aspect to Saturn, you have the full moon right on your ascendant-descendant line. So that is like, the best. So it's, yes, without the aspect, I think that the timing could be a little bit off, but you definitely want to, ask somebody out or accept a coffee date or post your online profile. And so things will unfold, and they'll probably take more than the 2 weeks time because of the aspect not lining up, but you can plant great seeds now for a love relationship. When it comes to your home life, it is ruled by that Venus, which is now past that opposition to Pluto. And so if there was some difficulties, things are simmering down, or, perhaps somebody's coming to give you an apology or something like that. So it does feel like things are getting better. And this Venus is going to change signs soon. And so even if the thing hasn't changed by the time you hear this, it's going to be changing in the next week or so. So I do see some positive energy around home and family. When it comes to your money, you have Mars going through your house of money, and this causes you to have a lot of energy to focus on making money. So this is really good. You only get this for a couple of months over a 2-year period, so you really want to capitalize on this. And so if you've had a business you want to start, or you want to talk to somebody about a new job, this is the time to do it. Now, additionally, you are pulling energy from the sun that is now in your own sign. And so that also says that as long as you put your name out there, as long as you say, this is me, that the money can come and find you. So I really like this aspect for you. I love the way it's all, kind of orchestrated its way for your big launch, or to, debut your channel or your album or something like that. So I think that this is all lined up and ready to go for you. Now, when it comes to your money from business or from traditional investments, you've got Saturn going through that house, which, has been happening for a long time. Additionally, the sun is not making an aspect to Uranus or Saturn. And so right now you're making about the same as usual. This is, with the Saturn going through there, this is all about slow growth, wealth. And so this is more that you are chipping away at learning how to do investing, how to, not time the market, but how your risk tolerance and different investments mesh. It is, of course, very much about your business, how to streamline operations, how to delegate, how to find good suppliers and things like that. So, this is doing all of those little steps over a long period of time, and then suddenly you're the overnight success that we all talk about. So this is all lining up for more back office work at this time, or more just looking at yourself and your own psychology of investing, and how you make decisions and things like that, versus actually cashing in this time. When it comes to money derived from career, the sun is making a semi-sextile to that Venus, and it's out of sign. So this is a challenging aspect on its own. It's a little irritating and all that. Plus, the sun is going to kind of make this a wider aspect, basically because the sun moves faster than Venus. It's going to become out of orb fairly soon. So all of that said, what all that means is that there is a tiny little window here for getting some more money, but it is one that you don't feel like doing, or it's hard to catch the person right at the right time. Although if you step up and do it, you can have some success because it is an aspect. But it does say that right now it's a slim window. I would say maybe of the 2 weeks, in the first week you want to try it. And second, if you don't really feel up to it, you may want to wait until things line up more, tightly and better, because they will. When it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that are not so traditional, like your NFTs, your Bitcoin, even things like penny stocks, day trading, commodities, buying businesses, things like that. The sun is not making an aspect to Pluto. However, it is making an aspect to Mars, and that is a semi-sextile. And so there are some opportunities for you, but they are opportunities that you're not entirely comfortable with. And that could be that somebody is requesting more money than you want to put down. And I think you really should negotiate this before you jump in, because with this aspect, it says you can get them to shift or adjust if you push back. Now, it also can be be that you find some part that's quite complicated because, you know, that's the nature of risky investments. They can be really complicated. And so with a little effort, you could find someone who could translate whatever, you know, legal or investment ease this is in, and you could then find out, you know, what the loopholes are, what the issues are, or things like that. So the semi-sextile says to do things that are slightly uncomfortable, and then you can have success. Okay, Leo natives, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of work, health, as well as daily routines. And so it's reminding you that you are actually quite good at establishing new habits, of letting go of bad habits and things like that. Of course, we all can slip back into bad habits, but you have the ability and basically the determination to focus on something and get it done. And it also does say that you have the ability to gather great coworkers together, to really find a good team. It is also indicating that deep down you do know what your body needs. And so while it's always important to follow what healthcare officials or your doctor says, you also, when you're at home and deciding what to eat, you do know what you should be eating and what your body needs. And so trusting in those things can really be helpful to you. Now, when we look at this Venus-Pluto opposition, that Pluto is reminding you that you can think that all of the power is then with the habit itself versus you who are choosing to continue the habit or to find ways to break the habit. And of course, we've talked about things like, changing your environment in the feng shui videos to set yourself up for success, etc. So this is, does the habit itself have all the power, or does the donut have all the power over your desire to eat the salad? So it's bringing the power back to you with the Venus rising in your chart to say, no, I have the power. I'm not going to let others, or in this case, the donut, rule my life. So when it comes to relationships, the energy is extremely powerful right now for you because Mars is in your own sign of Leo, plus that Venus-Pluto is very close to that ascendant-descendant line. And so this does mean that you can attract somebody who is extremely connected to you, from a past life connection or a soul connection or somebody whose chart just meshes with you. Now, that all said, the sun is not making an aspect with Saturn or with Uranus, and so the timing's not entirely there yet. So this is a time to plant the seeds, to put out your profile on the online dating site or tell your cousin that you will go out with the person they want to fix you up with, but not, it's not all going to come together in the 2-week period. This could just be an initial meeting or even just you telling the universe, I'm ready. And then the initial meeting is outside this 2-week period. So I like this energy for you getting started. But if you are already trying to connect with somebody and it's not coming together, just be patient because these energies will line up in the future. When it comes to home and family, you're pulling energy from that Pluto. It may be that you are doing some renovations of the house and changing things, like redoing your kitchen or something like that. But you're also pulling energy from that Mars in your own sign. And this says that you're being more social, you're making more connections, perhaps because things are opening up, you're hosting some parties at your house, or you're just ready to come out and see people. And so whether you are seeing them in your house or you are extending invitations and then they'll come later, all of this is indicating that there are happy times coming at home. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Mercury, which is now direct, and it's in a money house, which of course I love to see. So that means that you do have some financial opportunities that are available to you. Now, this 11th house, where it's sitting, is also about groups, organizations, and the community in general. So perhaps you haven't gone to a network meeting in a long time, and now you're going to start doing that again, or you're starting up your own meetup group, or you are gathering people for your membership website or something like that. This is all these different sources of where you put yourself out to the community, and then the community responds by giving you money opportunities. When it comes to your money from your business or from passive income sources, but more traditional ones, just like normal stocks or ETFs or things like that, you have some great energy going on here, because first, of course, Jupiter has poked his head into your house of resources. That's fantastic. That means that you have not just opportunities that present themselves to you, but other people coming to you that say, here's an opportunity you really need to think about. Plus, you have Mercury making a square to Neptune. Now, it is a wide square, and normally I would say that means that you have more desire than ability to do this. But because Mercury is moving forward now, it's going to get tighter and tighter. And so again, we see opportunities for you to make more money than usual in your business or in your general passive income sources. Now, the best energy is connected to your money derived from career, because it's ruled by that Mercury, which is now moving forward, as we said, and Mercury is in the house itself. So by communicating with others, and that is the groups, but also your boss or the new company you want to work for, or communicating with people on LinkedIn or things like that, you can bring in more money. This could come from, asking for a raise, getting a promotion, or some sort of bonus or something like that. Also, of course, getting more hours, because you do have the moon going and the Pluto still, of course, forever in your 6th house. So, you always have this opportunity to get more hours, but now you're really showing the profits from it. Okay, Virgo native, you guys are doing this full moon lighting up your house of creativity, fertility, and children. And so the place where the universe is saying you have a hidden talent is in this basic area of creation. And that is that you can create perhaps art or designs, or that you are creating, putting your words on paper, or that your kids are amazing, and because you are that great parent, that they are going to go out and help change the world. So this is where you really want to remind yourself that you have this skill set. Now, at the same time, that Venus opposed Pluto is also telling you that you can feel overwhelmed by the idea that there's some sort of gatekeeper that stops your art from getting into the world, or your kid getting into a special school. And this is when you are giving them all your power, because if you recognize that there are now so many platforms for your art to be seen, that you don't have to wait for an agent or a publisher or some art gallery, and there's also a lot of different schools, and also, of course, in this modern age, there are so many people who just skip some sort of, they don't go to necessarily college or something like that, and they still can become amazingly successful. So this is taking back the power and saying, I have options. I'm going to do it in my own unique way. When it comes to relationships, even though Mercury is not making an aspect with Jupiter, you do have an amazing 7th house, because Jupiter is now in that house. And that means that you have opportunities to meet somebody, to connect on a really deep level. Now, because there's no aspect, it can mean that over the next 2 weeks, the timing is off. You're too busy, or your schedules aren't meshing, or maybe you put up your profile and you're uncertain about the responses you're getting. So you have to be a little patient this time. This energy will line up now that Mercury is moving forward, but it's not lining up right now. When it comes to home and family, you are pulling energy from that Jupiter in the 7th house, and that does indicate that you are opening up in this area where you're meeting more people, connecting, because things are opening up in lots of places. Maybe you are thinking about having parties at home. Maybe you're going to other people's homes and celebrating with them, or you're meeting people in outdoor venues or things like that. But this says you are connecting with more people than you were before. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Venus in a house of money, and you know I love to see that. That always indicates that there are more money opportunities than you may see at the moment. This is in your area of community, and so it does say that if you get back involved with groups and organizations, you know, maybe start to work with a charity or a community group, maybe go back to a business networking meeting or something like that, you're going to meet people who are going to help you in material ways. And so maybe they know of job opportunities, or maybe they can bring you customers or things like that. So it's something to consider. When it comes to money from your business or more traditional income sources, the ruler is sitting in the 12th house, which does indicate that you're kind of cooling your heels right now. Things are just moving along. There's not an aspect going on right now between Venus and Mars. And so this is more a time to literally do the back office, because Mars is in the hidden house. And that is, you know, to maybe with your investments, look at your decisions and that you've had, you know, autopsy trades you've made, and see what your thinking was, what inspired you to buy it, what caused you to sell it, and look at, you know, how those decisions are influenced first by yourself and then maybe by outside sources. And when it comes to your business, you know, it's looking at your website, or, you know, maybe automating different systems within your business, maybe outsourcing something that you were doing in-house or things like that. All this energy will line up in the future. Right now, this is more about you know, getting behind the scenes and working on the structure of the business versus just being out there collecting money. Now, when it comes to your money derived from career, it's an entirely different story, because you have Sun, Venus there, which is lovely. You have many opportunities, not just at your current job, maybe to make more sales, get more hours, or get a raise, but also to get a job opportunity from an outside company now that Mercury is going direct. Additionally, the moon is making an out of sign inconjunct with that Venus, so it does say that to get more money, the quickest way is to do something that is outside your comfort zone. And this might be you leading a meeting, or that you are doing a presentation, or, you know, maybe publishing something, or, you know, putting yourself out there in a way that you generally don't like to do, but you know deep down is good for you. So that's the way that you could bring in more money. Now, when it comes to riskier investments, and these are the things that are very unusual, like, you know, investing in art, or, you know, putting all your money into precious metals or things like that. And, you know, it's more typical, and I would even look at more traditional investments if only 10% of your portfolio was in gold, perhaps. But once you get up into those higher numbers, certainly more than 50%, now you're into more risky or more unusual types of investments, and that would be ruled by this house. Now, this time you have the moon and, of course, Pluto there, which you're going to have Pluto there still for a few years. But the moon says that your spider sense is tingling. There is something going on, and you are a little concerned about it. And this is saying, yes, you know, your intuition, when it gives you an alarm, it's a good idea to look and see what that is. Now, additionally, there is no aspect going on between Venus and Saturn, and so we don't see an accumulation of money in this area at this time. So if you're on the edge and thinking about jumping into an investment, hold off for a little bit, do some more research. Or if you are in the investment, you want to be watchful. You know, don't sign anything in a rush. Don't make a quick sale or even buy decision. You know, really think things through. Don't feel pressures from other people at this time. And that will help preserve your money while you wait out this misalignment of the aspect. Okay, Libra natives, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of home and family, and it's indicating that you have more talents and abilities in the area of creating home. And that is, you know, that you may be unaware that it doesn't matter so much, you know, what the building looks like, that you can create a feeling of being at home, or that you are able to pull relatives from long distances and have people come together, or even that you can help people who live under the same roof, whether they're related or not, get along better. Now, when we look at the Venus opposed Pluto, the place where it feels like somebody else has your power is in your past. This idea that because of what your ancestors did, or where your relatives come from, or maybe things that happened to you in childhood, that those things are controlling you. And it's time to pull your power back and to say, no, I am still my own soul, on my own journey. I do not, while those things have some influence in my life, they do not control my destiny. And so this is where you balance out that energy that, yes, you have a heritage, or you have, your grandfather was a farmer, and so maybe that means that you can grow things too, and all of that. But it doesn't mean that this needs to be a block in your life anymore, that you are an independent soul, you're on your own journey, and so whatever happened in the past, that was an experience, and maybe it was terrible, or maybe it was glorious, but it doesn't need to rule your life. Sometimes I talk about things that I don't want to seem like they're trivial in any way. Trauma that happens in childhood, of course, is something that needs to be looked at with most likely a professional, somebody who does counseling for a living, etc. So, but I also want you to know that these things, we choose to have what defines us. We choose the parameters to build our life around. And so when you're working with a professional, recognize that you have power. And so this is all a very deep topic, and I can't go into it in this short video. But I just wanted to remind you that, especially with an aspect like this, that you have more power than you think. When it comes to relationships, you don't have an aspect between Venus and Mars right now, but Venus is moving to catch up with Mars. And so this would mean that if you reach out to someone and then wait for a little bit, you could get a positive response. Additionally, Venus will be moving into your house of friendships. And so this is maybe taking a relationship that is more on the friendship level and then having it move towards a romantic relationship. And again, this is going to take a little patience because everything's not lined up right now, but it is getting closer. When it comes to home and family, of course, you are pulling energy from that Saturn in your house of creativity, fertility, and children. And so this week, you might want to think about, giving yourself a little space in the house for doing creative projects, or at least a place to sit to dream about a potential future. Now, also, you do have the moon going through this house. It's part of the full moon that we're talking about. And this does mean that you have some underlying concern about what's going on at home or with the family. And so that is going to, show itself over the next 2 weeks. And, it could be something that's more mundane. Sometimes with the moon, we can get plumbing problems. It's a full moon, so maybe a lighting problems. It's in an earth sign, so maybe there's a crack in the wall that you hadn't seen before, or something else that is more structural, to a wall or a house or something like that needs to be dealt with. But this also could be that there are more emotions going on in the house, and that you have to take more of a stoic view of this, being that the moon's in Capricorn, to just say, I understand that, you want to go first and that you want more of the pie, and I'm just going to allow that to happen to keep the peace. So when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from Pluto in your house of home and family, as well as at Mars. So we've talked about the Pluto many times, but this time, think about how you can pool resources with family members to create something more. And that's all I'm going to say about that for the moment, because again, Pluto will be there for a couple of years. We will have tons of time to talk about it. But you are also pulling money from that Mars in a money house, and you know I love to see that. That means that you are pulling money directly to you by taking action. Now, Mars is in Leo, and it's in this house of community, so it says get out there and start, telling people what you do. And this is both, in person, but also online because it's in the house of technology. So that is, putting out your newsletter, updating your website, going on Instagram and telling people what you do, as well as going back to networking meetings or charity functions or things like that, so that you can meet new people and they can bring you opportunities. When it comes to income from your business or from traditional investments, Venus is doing an opposition to Pluto, which we've been talking about. So this is an aspect, and that means you have an opportunity to make more money than usual. Now, of course, Uranus has been going through this house, and so it does ask you to look at more of the scientific data of what you're doing. And that is that, look at the analytics for your business, look at the spreadsheets, analyze, what product is the best seller, what's the customer who's causing you the most trouble, and maybe send them off to somebody else. Look at your customer retention and what is really helping. And the same thing with your investments. Look at the cycles that your investments are making and find the better places to buy more, or when's the place to get out. And then also looking at just numbers of what other people are doing in their investments, like if you are doing mutual funds, what kind of fees you're being charged. Are those fees growing or are they shrinking? Does your broker offer free investing, and then what's the cost of that? That's not actual money. Like, are they selling your data, and does that bother you? So looking at the analytics this time can help you. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, first of all, you have a great money house because Mars is going through there, Venus is going to be there very soon, and of course the Sun, while it's not making an aspect to Pluto, is making an aspect to Mars. Plus, the Sun is very elevated in your chart, so you could get another job offer, you can ask your boss for a raise, you can certainly get more hours now that Jupiter is going through your 6th house of work. Additionally, you might get bigger sales, get more commission, get a bonus. So money from career is very strong right now. So, and especially if you are looking for a new job, this is the time to put out your resume, to go see what opportunities are out there, because you are really visible at this time. Okay, so the most interesting energy is around your area of risky investments. And these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, and money to do. And I would count this as, even starting a YouTube channel, this is something that takes a lot of time. It doesn't take much money, once you get the equipment, the money cost is pretty much out, but the amount of time it takes you to build your audience, to learn to edit videos, and this could be other things like your photography business, or, that you're out there performing, or things like that, or maybe you are looking to buy a business, but all of these things count as risky investments. Now, you have probably the most exciting energy we have seen in a while, because Mars, which is the co-ruler of your 2nd house, is making an opposition to Saturn and a square to Uranus. And so it is forming a T-square. Now, you might say a T-square doesn't sound that great because if a T-square is in your natal chart, it can be quite challenging. But when it comes to your money, we are always looking for an aspect. Any aspect will do, and now you have this configuration. So now this configuration is about using extraordinary energy to make something happen, and that is where you suddenly decide you're going to go all in, at least for the next 2 weeks, and really focus on your business. Since this pulls in resources and the community all together. This is you reaching out to people and asking for help. And that could be, that you have some relative in your life who has had business experience, or that you're going to an agency that helps people start a business. But you also may go into the community, maybe asking for, a GoFundMe project for them to fund you, or that you are, just networking with people and you make an extraordinary connection. So what the bottom line is, you potentially could have quite a win this time, and that is through taking an extraordinary effort and really doing a push. And yes, that's going to be outside of your comfort zone, but it could be the thing that you've been waiting for. Like, if you've been in the starting gate for a while, this is the starting gun that says the race has begun. Okay, Scorpio natives, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of communication, thinking process, and ideas. And so this is very much about you realizing that your powers of communication, especially your ability to get other people to tell you the truth, is actually quite a gift. And so you may not feel that comfortable speaking in public or convincing somebody of something, but you actually have innate abilities to do so. And so this is something you might want to explore through classes or online courses or things like that. And I want to say right here that myself and another astrologer, Tammy Magaro, are putting together a program for communication, specifically how to use your Mercury and how to have, compatible conversations with people who have a different Mercury than you do. So that will be coming out pretty soon. So, but for you, coming back to you, this is about looking at your thinking process in relation to your communication. And so how are you talking to yourself, and how does that affect how you talk to others? And so it is a lot about looking at eliminating negative self-talk, because you do have the ability to do that, and looking at what you want from your communication with people, deciding ahead of time, then having that conversation. That is another of your gifts. Now, when we look at the Venus opposed Pluto and where you may have given away your power is in this same area of communication, to say, well, they are controlling the communication. I can't bring this subject up until they do, or, I can't speak to this person because of the way they speak. And here is where you need to pull your power back and say, you know what, I'm going to learn how to speak to this person, or I'm going to go around them and speak to somebody else about whatever the issue is. So this is about not being so focused on one person, but rather seeing this as the whole. Who else can help me? And then when it comes to looking at negative self-talk, just because you may slip into an occasional, getting yourself down, you can then say, oops, I did it again, and just let it go and not dwell on the fact that this happened again. And as you let it go, if you do that enough times, then the habit becomes letting it go rather than dwelling on it. When it comes to relationships, you have some interesting energy because it's ruled by that Venus opposed Pluto. And so there is this idea that in your relationships, things could come together, but you might be thinking that everything is on you or that it's all on the other person. And so instead of waiting around, just have some open discussions. What do you want? What do I want? And find that middle ground. Because there is an aspect, you do have the opportunity to meet somebody new. This person could be interesting and intense and really make a connection with you. So you don't want to miss this aspect. When it comes to home and family, it's ruled by that Uranus in your 7th house, as well as that Saturn that's in the 4th house. Now, recently, these guys just did their 2nd square of the year, and so there may have been quite a bit of excitement over the last few weeks, and now that excitement is dissipating. So you might be unpacking from a move, or maybe you found the place and now you're just going through the motions of packing and, taking your time to get into the new place. Maybe you're doing some renovations and that's winding down. So overall, it says that the process is slowly coming to a resolution and things are getting finished. When it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Jupiter in your house of creativity, fertility, and kids. And so this is a lot about what you are delivering in the way of what you create. And that is, are you sending your art out into the world? Are you putting your music out there? Because those are the things that are going to then translate into money. Maybe not directly, because this is Pisces. Maybe you put out some music and then somebody asks you for some writing, to write some lyrics or something like that. So, but in the effort of opening up the door and putting something out into the world, then opportunities can come in. Now, of course, this is the house of children also, and so you might get together with your kids, your older kids, and start a business, or you might be focusing on helping them, get going on their careers and things like that. Now, when it comes to your money from your business as well as traditional investments, Mercury is in that house and it's now moving forward. So now things that were blocked are actually progressing, which is great. However, Mercury is not making an aspect with Jupiter, which means that you're not seeing the profits quite yet. So this is more about continuing to work on the structure of the business, or to, develop good contacts, to find new clients and things like that. And then all of their purchasing and all the profits are going to come later. And this is the same with your investments. This is more about doing the research, and later you actually purchase the investments or sell the investments, depending on which is the case. And that's when the profits come in. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, while again, the Jupiter is not making an aspect to Mercury. Mercury is still in your house of resources. And this means that you have a planet that rules a money house in a money house, which of course I love to see. And Mercury is now moving forward. So if you had talked to your HR department about different perks and they said, oh, you have to wait, now's the time to go back to them and say, okay, let's see what's going on here. This also means that anything that is a perk that is connected to your job, and this can be the more subtle things, like the fact that you work for a large company impresses the bank, who then gives you a better loan for a house. That sort of connection that actually has material benefit can happen at this time. Now, when it comes to riskier investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to get going, Jupiter is still in Pisces, which is beneficial. It brings you luck and some protection. It's in the same sign as Neptune, but they're not making an aspect. So we are seeing that, it's coming together, but not quite yet. And now Jupiter is retrograde. And so now Jupiter is going to slowly back out of this house. So it feels to me like it almost happened, and now it seems to be backing up. And so don't force it. This Jupiter is going back into the previous sign to get you some very needed information, and then you'll move forward. So use this time to learn more about the situation, or to study, what the marketplace is like, or to study the investment itself, so that you can be really prepared when these energies line up. Okay, Sagittarius natives, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of money. Yay. And so it is this reminder that you actually have innate abilities around money. And that can be handling money, attracting more money, finding ways to make money grow on its own. And so it is a reminder that, you know how to do this. And so to take a little bit more time to work on these skills. This also has to do with possessions. And so you might have a real eye for antiques, or to find something that you could easily flip. So this again, it's just how to create money sources is a talent that you have, and now this moon is highlighting that. Now, at the same time, the Venus opposed Pluto has the Pluto in your house of money, which is saying that sometimes you do get overwhelmed, and then you just throw your hands up and you allow money opportunities to basically be taken by somebody else. And so this Venus opposite Pluto reminds you to take your power back. And that is to not just pronounce to the world, oh, I don't handle money well, or, you know, I've never been good with money, or my whole family's not good with money, or something like that, because you are then saying, you know, I'm off the hook, whatever happens, happens, rather than looking at that Venus sitting in your house of resources saying, oh my gosh, I have access to so many resources to learn how to do things, to gather more money when I need it, etc. So this is about taking your power back. Now, when it comes to relationships, you're not doing an aspect between Mercury and Jupiter. However, Mercury is in your house of relationships and it's moving forward. And so this means that things could move forward slowly, which is good. You have to give Mercury a little time to get up to speed. And so you might find that the person you're interested in says, hey, I would love to see you, but I'm super busy for the next week or so. And can we put off the date? And just say yes to that, because this energy will gather speed and they may come back around even in a few days and say, okay, now I'm ready. So, but overall, if you're looking for love or things like that, while everything is not quite lined up, it is in the process of doing so. So this is a good time to plant some seeds. When it comes to home and family, you are doing Jupiter and Neptune in that house. And of course, that is very nice, but Jupiter is now retrograde and it's slowly making its way back out of that house. And so if there is stuff going on with the family, you have just a few weeks to actually work on these things. And that is to have a better relationship with a family member, or to pool resources together so that you all can buy a house or get a house paid off or renovate a house or things like that. So, you know, all the things that you do as a family, you have an opportunity to come together to do that now. And that's going to get more difficult when Jupiter leaves this house. So you want to work on this now. Okay, when it comes to your money, you do have that moon there. And so all of the things I said about you focusing on your talents and abilities with money is because you are slightly worried about your money right now. You are thinking that maybe an income source is unstable, maybe things are not, that money you were expecting is just not coming in, or things like that. And this is your opportunity to pivot, to make a change, because you have abilities there. Now, this house is pulling money from your Saturn, of course, which it has been for, well, it always will, but Saturn is in your house of communication. And so this is about you looking at how you list your goals. Are you aware of your goals? Are you reading your goals out loud? Are you doing affirmations? Or what are you doing that is verbal to help you solidify your money streams? And so this also could mean that there is a potential contract that needs to be looked over, or if you're just shying away from doing things that involve contracts, and it's time to say, oh, I can do this contract, I can do this. So it is an opportunity for you to gain more money, or to shore up maybe a money source that is leaving by doing communication. So that's the focus. Now, when it comes to your house of resources, and that is money that comes from a business or money that comes from traditional investments, the house is great because it has Sun Venus there, which does say that you can find some great investments at this time, or you can make some great strides in your business. Now, there's no aspect going on between Moon and Saturn, so you may not be able to take the profits in this 2-week period, but the profits are there. And so it's possible that someone will say, yes, we're going to pay you, but we're going to pay you in 60 days, or that an investment is so good and you see it going up, but you don't want to sell it right away. So all of these things are possible. What the great news is the opportunities are there, but you need to overcome the sense of insecurity so that you will even go look for it. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, the ruler of your house is in a money house, which I love to see. And it does mean that there are some perks that you could get from your company over some time. And maybe that's like some sort of stock or discount or something like that. Now, Venus is not making an aspect with Saturn, and so this may not manifest right away. So maybe the stock has to be vested, or perhaps this is a discount for something that you're going to buy in the future, like a better price on a car or something like that. So the perks are there, but you may not be able to manifest them over the next 2 weeks. Now, when we get to your area of risky investments, and these are the investments that are highly unusual, the things that are stuff that would scare your grandfather out of his investing, like Bitcoin or, there's so many of these different derivatives these days that you could do, certainly commodities, penny stocks, things that are very volatile and things like that. You are doing some interesting energy because Mars is making an opposition to Saturn. Now, Mars is in your house of contracts, so this would indicate that something needs to be reviewed or signed. If you are getting involved with a contract, doing that opposition to Saturn does say bring in a professional, bring in somebody who's very knowledgeable so they can help guide you through this. If you are getting involved in a business, you also want to make an agreement with the opposition to Saturn. I wouldn't just trust a handshake deal for this, but this is extraordinary opportunity for you to do really well in something that most people consider quite risky, or it's something that you've never done before. It just takes this investigation because you are doing energy in the houses of information. Okay, Capricorn natives, this is your full moon because the moon is in Capricorn, and it is a reminder that you are the source of your power. And of course, I'm not meaning that there's no God out there. Of course, you are co-creating with the universe, and that's fantastic. But you need to be reminded that you have extraordinary abilities, and you need to tap into that. And that is learning to trust yourself, learning to believe in yourself, and having this desire to go out and do things that maybe are outside of your comfort zone. So when you say, I'm going to go do something bigger than I think I can do, then what happens is that the pieces or the steps you need to do will unfold for you, and each individual step you can do. And again, you are co-creating with the universe, so the universe is helping guide you by either providing the steps or showing you how to make course adjustments on your path so that you don't run into traffic or a cliff or a big dragon that eats you or things like that. Now, when we are looking at that Venus opposed Saturn, the place where you might be giving away your power is where you are saying, okay, I am doing this all by myself. I don't need a partner. I don't need advice from other people. And then you can kind of get yourself stuck because what you need is somebody else to say one little word, maybe not even related to your question, and that inspires you to move forward. So this is about looking at who you are creating with or what kind of information you're consuming, and see if it's helpful to you. Is it inspiring you, or is it just making you feel overwhelmed? Is it taking away your power, etc.? When it comes to your relationships, you are doing this full moon right on your ascendant descendant line, so your chart is lit up for relationships. That means you have many opportunities to meet somebody new, to be seen by others. So if you're doing your online profile or something like that, it is so easy to see you now. Additionally, Venus is in your house of relationships. Love that. That can bring you love right to your door. Now, the aspect between Moon and Saturn is not here. It has separated, or it's more than the 7 degrees that I allow. And so what that means is there is a little misstep in the timing, and that is that perhaps, you can't get together because you're too busy or they're traveling right now. But if you were patient, you'll have an opportunity to get together. So this is a time to plant the seeds, get your profile up, or allow your friends and family to know that you're looking so they can fix you up with someone. Or even if somebody just says they want to have coffee with you, tell them yes, and then set the date later. Because, this is a great house of relationships that you're doing, but the timing could be off a bit. When it comes to home and family, you are pulling energy from that Mars in your house of resources, and this is a reminder of how much your family knows, how much access they have to other people, how you can get together perhaps with older relatives who maybe they've applied for loans or grants before and they can show you the ins and outs. Maybe if you're older, you are getting together with the younger relatives who can show you how to, edit a video or, what this whole TikTok thing is. So this is very much about looking at your family as this unit that comes together to help each other and using that synergy, not synastry, that's a whole branch of astrology, but synergy to make something that's stronger than the individual parts. So when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from both Uranus and Saturn, which were doing that square. And so there was a great deal of activity going on where you were just, go, go, go. Now that square is separating. And so as the dust settles, you can see the results of all of your efforts. So if there was a big storm that ran through your financial house, now you can look and see, well, what was beneficial and what was not. If this was you taking a lot of action, now you can do this analysis to see, all right, what was beneficial and what was not. So these two will come together again later in the year, but right now you are dealing with this energy that is now waning. Because that all sounded a little vague, I just want to go over that a little bit more in depth. And that is because you are pulling money from the Saturn in the second house, it says to do an analysis of your spending, to look at how the money is going out and see what changes that you can make. Also, because the Uranus is in the fifth house, which is more the extraordinary investments, it is where are you directing time or energy or money to something that you truly want to do, something that you love to do. And so maybe that is that you give up Netflix, but you then buy a guitar or something like that, so that you are focused on the things that you want to do that are bigger in your life. So that's what I mean, that the financial storm came through and perhaps you did a lot to move forward, and now you don't have Netflix and you're playing the guitar. Or now you are, like somebody's handed you a guitar, but now you're spending all your time watching Netflix, and it's time to turn that off so that you can, play your guitar. When it comes to money from your business or from a traditional passive income source, like affiliate marketing or something like that, you have Mars going through this house now. And that's extraordinary because that brings you many opportunities as you take action. So that is that you are able to build your network marketing team, or you're able to get all your affiliate links in place or things like that. So this is a time to really focus and take action. I also really like the fact that Mars is making an opposition to Saturn, which is the co-ruler of your house of money, as well as that Uranus, which is the ruler of your house of money. So everything is pulling together. Now, for actually accumulating money over the next 2 weeks, you're not doing an aspect between Mars and Sun. So I know that sounds confusing, but that means to me that you're planting a lot of seeds that are bringing extraordinary results, but outside the 2-week period. So that is that somebody is, whispering the stock pick into your ear. Maybe you're buying that stock, but you're not going to sell it for a while. Or that you have a breakthrough about your business. You have a product idea. Now you have to do a prototype. Now you have to design it, and then you're going to launch it, and then the sales come in. So you're taking lots of action, I see, and with that T-square, you have lots of people that are going to help you. That's fantastic. And then the profits will come later. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, again, we have some extraordinary energy here because the co-ruler of your house is in a money house, which I love to see, and it's part of that T-square that we just talked about. So again, this is not necessarily you going to the boss and saying, hey, can I have a few more dollars an hour? This is you maybe going to the CEO and saying, I want to create a whole new department and I want to be the director of that department? Or are you going from a more conventional job to doing something that is a little bit different, a little bit more maybe experimental or risky, and making a lot more money that way? So this is, I really feel like this is about you innovating and finding, what your company really needs and maybe creating your own position. Now, when it comes to riskier investments, and these are the things like, your Bitcoins and your Dogecoin and, sometimes precious metals, especially if you're putting a lot of money into it, certainly commodities or any leveraged investment, even to the point of flipping houses if you were doing it with no money down. Those types of investments where, it's a little bit of a house of cards, that you're not doing an aspect between Venus and Uranus or Venus and Saturn. These houses, though, are still involved in that T-square. So it's like you're taking extraordinary steps. You are, you're very determined. You're very focused on moving forward. That's great. The profits aren't visible yet. However, Venus will move into your house of resources and it will line up. It's just outside of this 2-week period. So as always, I want to caution you on the risky investments. If you are investing a large portion of money, especially the money that you're going to need soon, it is not lining up very well for you. But if this is just a portion of your investments and it's a long shot investment, and so you're just putting a little bit down, this could be something that brings you some profits in the future. It's just outside of this 2-week period. Okay, Aquarius natives, you guys are doing this full moon lighting up your hidden house of psychic ability and creative, artistic things, but also your deep inner subconscious. And so the thing that this moon is showing you that you have abilities at are that you're more psychic sometimes than you give yourself credit for. Your ability to pull in different parts of information and arrive at the solution is amazing. Additionally, you might get flashes of insight. Maybe your psychic ability isn't as regular as some of the other signs, but boy, when you get a flash, it's amazing. But also, your inner subconscious is lit up, and this is about how you react to things. Are you actually being mindful and making a decision, or are you just responding to the stimulus of the world? You have an opportunity to focus and say to yourself, you know what, I'm not just going to be a puppet and just respond as people snap their fingers, but I'm going to make my own decisions. And so that's what this moon is lighting up for you. Now, when we look at the Venus opposed Pluto and where you might be giving away your power, you're giving away your power to the greater collective, which means that you're giving out a lot of energy, maybe to help others, maybe to do your job. Maybe you're just exhausting yourself, and therefore you're not able to go do the things that you want to do. So this is like letting your energy just drain away. And it could be that you have a very demanding job, but you are not taking care of yourself by eating right or doing a clearing of yourself or clearing the house, and getting rid of negative energy. So what I would suggest is to start with the simplest thing, which is just to do a little bit of a space clearing in your house. And that is to get a smudge stick or some sage spray and just spritz it around the house. I will put a link in the description box so that you know how to do that. And I have a website called howtosmudge.com, and that just gives a bunch of articles on how to do it. And this is to remove negative energy from the place you live. And this can also be done to yourself, that you can clear yourself of negative energy and that people have put on you that has been bringing you down. And then if you do this on a regular basis, then your energy won't be drained and you'll start to feel better. And of course, as always, if you eat healthy, it is amazing what, limiting or eliminating sugar will do. And if you, eat a lot of vegetables, some fruits, and all of this, like you will feel so energized and so much better, and then Pluto won't have so much power over you. When it comes to relationships, Mars is going through your house of relationships, so there is definitely some action happening. That means that someone may be pursuing you, someone might be asking you out, or if you put up your profile, you could get a lot of responses. Now, the energy's still not quite matched up because there's no aspect going on between the Sun and Uranus, and so or even the Sun and Saturn. And so that means that, the people who are responding to your ad may not be exactly what you're looking for, or if they are, you're not quite having the schedule connection, so you don't get to see them within this 2-week period. But it's going to line up later. So you might as well, tell your friends and family that you are looking and let them fix you up, because it looks like they have several quality people that they would like you to meet. Now, when it comes to home and family, you're pulling energy from that Venus in the 6th house, and that does say that you're having some happy times together, that you might be doing a garden together, or you might be juicing together, or you're doing something that brings the family together, but for a health purpose. Maybe you're all getting out and hiking or riding bikes or things like that. So all of that's good. This is also a possibility that you're doing some sort of declutter or spring cleaning, and that is bringing positive energy to the house. So, and that leads us back to that Pluto aspect. So maybe you are doing space clearing for your home and yourself, and then other family members clear themselves as well, and then everybody feels better. When it comes to your money, you're pulling money from both that Neptune and Jupiter in your house of money. This is really an extraordinary time for you because these are two slow-moving planets and they are in your house of money. So Jupiter is going to be there for a little while. Jupiter is already retrograde, so it's going to move out of this house in a few weeks, but it will be back in 2022 and it will spend a great deal of time there. And this means that while it's there, you want to really focus on what activities you can do to bring more money, because the more seeds you plant, the bigger your harvest is going to be, not just in 2022, but going forward. So this brings you lots of luck for meeting people and making great connections. So you do want to actively work on this now. When it comes to money derived from your business or from traditional investments, you are pulling energy from that Mercury, which is now going forward. So that's really good news. And it's in a money house, which I love to see. It is not making an aspect, however, to Jupiter, but it is making a square to Neptune. Now, it is a wide square, and that is usually where I say it is more of a desire to do it than to actually have it happen. But now that Mercury is going forward, it's going to tighten up. And so you do have the opportunity to bring in more money than usual, especially around your business or traditional investments. When it comes to money derived from career, the ruler is in your house of money. Again, I love to see that because that means that you have direct access to money and it's your personal house of money. It's that Jupiter. So you have a better opportunity to get a better job that makes you more money or get a better position at your current job that makes you more money over the next few weeks. Now, the Jupiter, of course, is not making an aspect to the Neptune, which can mean that accumulation of that money is difficult. Either that the money needs to go right out again, or, which is more likely, that it does take a little while for that money to come into your hands. So be patient. They may say, yes, we want to give you a raise, but it's not going to activate for 6 months or something like that. And then if it's going to be that long, you can really negotiate for a very good raise. Now, when it comes to riskier investments, and these are the things that take a lot of time, energy, or money to make happen, Mercury is in that house and it rules that house and it is moving forward. So this means that whatever was stopping you over the last few weeks is clearing up. That's fantastic. Additionally, it's making a very wide square to Neptune, but it is going to tighten up now that that Mercury is going forward. So again, what seemed out of reach and impossible now is starting to come into focus. So as always, you do want to be cautious when you are signing paperwork and things. You do have Chiron going through your house of contracts, and that's going to be lasting there for ages and ages. So it's always wise for you to get somebody to help you look over any sort of agreements or deal with complex investment strategies. But overall, this is very promising energy, and if you've been looking to move forward, now is the time. Okay, Pisces natives, you guys are doing this full moon in your house of community and technology. And so it's a reminder that you have innate abilities with connecting with others, either in person or through technology means. Now, some of you might be saying, technology, you gotta be kidding. But if you start to look at the idea that all things have energy, all things have this sort of vibration, you are the master of vibrations, and you are able to get in harmony or stay in disharmony with even electronic devices. And so, talk to your computer if it's acting up and say, I really need your help. Help me figure this out, and ideas will come to you. Additionally, when you are going out there into groups, you have an ability to connect with many others, and this can bring you many opportunities. Now, where you can get overwhelmed or give away your power is with this idea of the faceless masses, that one negative comment or somebody not liking your artwork or something like that means that everything stops, and so therefore you don't put out your creativity into the world. And this is where you need to take back your power and recognize that if somebody doesn't like what you're doing, it's okay, because that just means that they are not your fan, not your customer, not the person you're trying to reach. And yes, I know it's odd that some people take their time and energy to leave this negative feedback and all of that. I think, why? What's the benefit for that person to do that? And there really isn't one at all. But if you can just brush it aside and take your power back and say, despite the fact that some people are being negative about what I'm putting out in the world, I'm still going to do it anyway. That's the energy of this Venus opposed Saturn for you. Venus opposed Pluto for you. You can take your power back and be in charge of what you're creating and not let nameless, faceless strangers stop your process. When it comes to relationships, you have some good energy here because, first of all, of course, Jupiter is in your sign, and this means that you have more luck and more opportunities now while it's there. Jupiter is retrograde, so it is going to move back into Aquarius in a few weeks, but for now, things are going well. Now, additionally, Mercury now moving forward is making a square, albeit wide one, with Neptune. But because Mercury is moving forward, that square is going to get tighter. So that all adds up to big opportunities for you when it comes to relationships. So let your friends fix you up right now, or go out into the world and smile, because you can meet somebody who's a real true connection. When it comes to home and family, of course, it is ruled by that Mercury, which is now moving forward. And so also good news that whatever was blocking you, holding you back, maybe to get a new apartment or to move, or just in communication with family members, all of that is clearing and things are now moving forward. So this is a time where I expect you guys to have more parties, more get-togethers, to communicate with more people, relatives, of course, or people that live with you, or to bring friends into the home. Now, when it comes to your money, you are pulling money from that Mars. This is now going through your house of work and routines, and also health, which is, let's start with that one. This Mars says that if you take care of your health, you will have more energy for doing the things that bring you money. It also could mean that you are specifically pulling in some energy from health. In other words, like being a personal trainer, or, taking people on hikes, or, doing some sort of travel exercise thing. I don't know. So all of that is a possibility. Now, also, this aspect does indicate that the more you work, the more money you make. And that's not always true with everyone. I know that sounds obvious, but sometimes, actually, people who make a huge amount of money generally don't work many more hours than a person who's, really working for a living. It's just that the person who's making a lot has learned how to multiply their time. So what this Mars does say, though, is right now it is nose to the grindstone. It is actually putting in the effort, and that's what's going to directly bring you money. And then finally, of course, the Mars is saying, look at your systems. What are your processes? What are your habits? Are you a person who, comes home and says, all right, I'm going to get right to work on my projects? Or do you first watch one YouTube video, which turns into 10 YouTube videos, and then half your night is gone, etc. So what are the habits that get you to focus on, what it is you actually want to do? And on that note, Feng Shui can be very helpful for creating an environment that supports your goals. And I have a lot of videos on Feng Shui on this channel, and so you might want to check those out. When it comes to money from your business or money from traditional investments or passive income sources, there's no aspect going on between Venus and Mars. However, there will be, because Venus is quickly moving to catch up with that Mars. Now, Venus will have to change signs, so that does mean that something will change before a conjunction can happen. So, and that could be that you have a very particular idea of the direction you're going, and you may have to pivot, or you may just make a course adjustment, so watch for that. The same thing with your investments. You might be thinking that you have a plan of putting more money into a specific investment, but then you're deciding, oh, there's some other options. But because the two of these will come together outside this 2-week period, we know long-term things can be good, but right now the short-term is that this is more about planning and learning about it rather than actually cashing in. Now, you have extremely interesting energy when it comes to money derived from career, because you have the moon there, that full moon, which does say that you are a little concerned about something related to the income you're getting from your company, which could mean that you are going back to work, but you're not getting as many hours, or that they are saying cutbacks are needed because of all the stuff that happened last year, and so you're not seeing it as stable. However, you are making an extraordinary aspect of Mars opposed Saturn. And so this does, to me, indicate that you could either find another job or a second source of income, or you could have a conversation with your boss and say, look, I'm really committed to working full time here, so I need the hours. And so there is some negotiation that you can do. Now, that all said, because the ruler of your 11th house is in your 12th house, your hidden house, you do need to think more long-term about what else you could be doing. And that is looking for another job or looking for an exit strategy in some way, because this Saturn's going to be there for a long time and the aspects won't line up every time. Okay. When it comes to risky investments, and these are the things that are exotic or that are highly leveraged or that take a lot of time, effort, or money to get going, now you have quite an extraordinary house with the Sun, Venus there, so you have big opportunities that are opening up and they're suddenly visible. That's fantastic. Additionally, the ruler of that house, the moon, is making an inconjunct to Mars. Now, of course, if you know some astrology, you'll say, an inconjunct, that's not an easy aspect. But it is an aspect, and that means that you can do something. So the energy of an inconjunct is about learning how to adjust. So I've given this analogy before, but this is like if you said to me, I really want some ice cream, and you go to your freezer and all you have is salmon. And so salmon is completely not ice cream. So you can eat the salmon and now you're full, but you didn't get the ice cream, or you can get in the car and go get your ice cream. You have to make an adjustment. You cannot make ice cream out of salmon. Not even the Iron Chef can do that. So that's the energy that you're doing, is that there has to be some sort of adjustment to get this unusual investment going. And maybe that is that you were going to start a YouTube channel, but a podcast would be better for you, or that you are going to put your album out into the world, but actually it's going to work better if you sell it to a company for their jingle. You know, like some sort of adjustment is happening. But when you look at that and look at the possibilities, then you can make some real money. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and stay tuned because LaRue wants to say hi.